Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Sinister. And this is a horror film that came out in 2012, and this movie is directed by, I believe this is how you pronounce his name, Scott Derrickson. And I believe he directed Doctor Strange, and I don't know what else he did, unfortunately, but I'll look into that later. But Sinister, this is a horror movie, and I was inspired to see this movie because Winchester had a lot of jump scares, and I remember this movie has jump scares in it. And I thought to myself, does it hold up? And I rewatched it, and it's a good movie. It's not great, it's not a masterpiece, so don't expect that. But it's good. There are some things in this movie that I admired more than I enjoyed. But we will get into that and the overall plot of Sinister. And before we go any further, I need to address this. This review will be spoiler-free because I want all my reviews to be spoiler-free unless the title says otherwise. Now that I got that out of the way, we can talk about Sinister and the plot. And the overall plot of Sinister is Ethan Hawke's character. Him and his family basically move into a new house because he's trying to write a book, and he's kind of a struggling writer. And a couple reasons he moved were, one, the new story he was writing was there. That's an actual line in the movie. And the second reason was they couldn't afford to live in the old house anymore. And at some point in the movie, he goes into the attic and he finds this box full of, I forgot what they're called, like these old family videos, and, well, not videotapes, like really old, like, I can't remember the name of them right now, but if you've seen the trailer, then you know what I'm talking about. And he starts to take a look at these to see if he can find a story, and some, dare I say, sinister-like things might be contained within these tapes and what's going on right now. I'm sorry. Now that I got the plot out of the way, we'll talk about the positives first. And the performances in the movie are very good. I really liked Ethan Hawke, and also one other thing I forgot to mention, unfortunately, this movie takes place in 2002. You may or may not know that, but you wouldn't know that unless you look at like the back of what it's about, like the back of the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K Ultra HD, if you have it on there yet, or if it's been released on that, I don't know. But back to the performances. Ethan Hawke is the standout, and you also have some child actors, and I thought they were very good. And the mother, her performance was good, even though she doesn't have like a lot to do. She's still very good in the movie. I wouldn't say anyone even comes close to Ethan Hawke because he's basically the audience character, and you really understand why he's doing the things he's doing, even if he's not the most likable person ever. You still understand what he's doing. There's some really nice long takes in this movie, the kind of stuff you just don't really see in movies anymore. And I liked that. And when the first shot when you're introduced to Ethan Hawke's character, it's basically one nice long take, and it goes through the house, and it basically follows him the entire time, and it's great. I really like it a lot. What this movie does well is keep you interested in the story. Even if you don't necessarily find it incredibly scary, it's still interesting to watch as Ethan Hawke starts discovering what's happening. And without giving anything away, this movie is essentially a demon's game. And it basically sets up the rules of how the demon works and how he plays on on how everything works. Unlike a lot of movies we get nowadays, I actually kind of remember the music in this movie, especially like the like one of the main themes when Ethan Hawke is getting ready to record for like the next video that he has, or little short, whatever you want to call them. I really liked the music, and it has some like kind of fast-paced editing along with it to make it feel like it kind of has a style, which I also liked. And I like the makeup effects in this movie. I've heard some complaints about that, but I thought it looked convincing for myself. It looked good. I liked it. Now let's get into the negatives, and the biggest problem why this movie's not great is because the movie is a little bit messy when it comes to horror. And with the horror, how it treats it, sometimes it's really good, but the only times it doesn't work for me is when it dips into horror movie cliche territory, where a character will read something out loud on a computer. Sometimes it's not very subtle and there's jump scares. It's not annoyingly bad, the jump scares in the movie, but I think they were just afraid, like, I don't know if they wanted to be very risky or kind of want to play it safe or something, but if you were going to play it safe, you would go in a conventional route, but I don't think that horror movie is too effective for the most part. Sometimes it's really good, but most of the time it's kind of And I think this movie could have benefited if it had more subtlety to it, because at one point in the movie, Ethan Hawke sees this ladder leading up to the attic, and he didn't put it down, and it's like kind of in the second act of the movie, and he's just walking towards it, and he kind of just slows down and stops and says, "What's happening?" Like, you probably didn't need that. You could have took that out. And I don't think it would lose anything. But at least this movie has some form of style, even though it kind of feels like a trailer. But I admire that they kind of went in a different route than what you would normally get in a horror movie, especially nowadays. And the nighttime sequences is where the horror is at, but sometimes in the daytime scenes, you don't really feel that presence. Instead, the movie kind of focuses on the family and get you to understand them. And another thing I liked was that this movie actually has humor in it that works. It's a horror movie with a comedic edge to it. What's great is the humor is never at night. It's always during the daytime, so the tone doesn't feel so abrupt and just a very weird experience. This movie actually knows where to put humor if it wants to have humor. That's what I want to say. Some can say the tone is a little conflicting. I would say that I would agree in some respects that the tone is a little off, but it's not a big deal for this movie, because how they constructed that, I'm fine with that. Just for this movie. I don't know if there's going to be another movie like that, but I know for a fact that this movie, I'm fine with it. In the end, Sinister is a pretty good horror movie. It's much better than horror movies we get nowadays, and it has some really nice horror sequences and some nice humor scenes. And the only problem I have with nighttime sequences outside the cliche territory is you look at the windows and it's so bright. It looks like a studio light, and it just doesn't work for me. But aside from that, that's my only other complaint with the movie. And if you haven't seen Sinister, I would recommend it. I think it's a pretty solid movie, at least. Even if you don't like it as much as I do, I think you'll find something to like about it. And I'm going to give Sinister a B+. It holds up for the most part. It has its problems, but overall, I think it's pretty good. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Sinister down below. And found my link, all my social media links are in the description down below. Oh, and my username for the Stardust app is going to be in the description below. And I got Stardust, the Stardust app, I got Twitter, and recently I just got Facebook. I mean, I had Facebook for a while, I just never used it, but I'm using it now. So, I'm still trying to figure out how to use Facebook, but I'll get it one of these days. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation. And I'll see you when I get my next review up. And according to my list that I put on Twitter, my next movie is going to be Blade Runner, and it's going to be the final cut for a couple reasons. One, I haven't seen any of the other cuts. I think there's like 8. Well, there's 3 famous ones, and there's like 8 in total, and a whole bunch of different edits of the movie. So, and another reason why I want to review it is because I saw it, and it keeps getting better every time I see it, and I've seen it 3 times so far. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.